What criteria did you use to evaluate potential investors?
That's a great question, and I think it's something that I've been doing a lot of thinking about recently. To be totally frank, in the beginning of the seed round, I was totally new to the game. I didn't know any of the terminology. I didn't know how any of this shit worked. And I literally said, if you have money and I don't hate you, let's get this on. It's kind of like when you're like a 15, 16-year-old guy and you're getting ready to finally enter manhood. You're like, almost anything will work at this point. And then as you get older, you're like, well, I have very specific needs and very specific things I look for. And I think that my attitudes have changed a lot recently. So in the early days, I looked for obviously people that were top tier investors that had, wins that I could point to and say, clearly these guys have helped entrepreneurs win in the game. That was probably the first thing I looked for. I also looked for people that I could get along with. That there are investors that you'll sit down with, and it's clear, just like when you go out to dinner with a girl for the first time, and it's within 10 minutes you know whether or not you're going to go on the second date, right? It's the exact same thing with investors. You walk in and you're like, here's my idea, and they're kind of like, and you're like, well, no second date. So I think really finding, those are the two things I look for. I look for investors that got the idea, got the value proposition, and were passionate about it. And I look for people that had, funded companies that had won and had funded really good companies that I respected. That's changed totally since now I don't like the whole super angel seed kind of thing. I think what I look for in investors now, I look for people that used to be entrepreneurs and invest with their own money, and normally don't invest more than kind of 200K. And that's the first round. After that, because I really think you can build almost any product on the planet for about 250K or less. And I think 250K is at the very high end these days. So in that reality, at most you need 5 angels, right? So I think the big thing that's changed for me is in my future companies, I don't think I would pitch a seed round. I would pitch a couple investors that were investing their own money. I think there's a very big difference in the dynamics between people that invest their own money and people that don't invest their own money. And I think there's a very big difference in the insight and advice that you're going to get between somebody who has worked in startups versus people who have started startups.
And then how does that, what you've learned from looking at investors in the early stages, apply to how you're making decisions, reflecting on your Series A and looking forward to your Series B?
Well, it's really different, right? Because each stage of the company and each stage of funding requires a different set of skills. So now that we're a 20-something person company and we're turning on revenue and we're starting to negotiate big deals with big clients, we fundamentally need different insight and different money. I don't need, at this stage of Simple Geo, I don't need the guy that was the first angel investor in Instagram, or the guy that founded something like that. I need the guy that was a late stage investor in TeleAtlas that knows how to grow a big business and turn it into $1 billion company. So I think as you progress through the stages of funding, you need different investors with much different experience funding much different companies.
So you're dating different types of chicks.
Indeed.